On the news, Senate probes alleged USAID ties to Boko Haram. Security chiefs to face lawmakers in closed-door briefing. Reps launch probe into deadly Osun violence. Calls for urgent police intervention. Plus, House summons absent VCs during 2025 budget defense. Hello and welcome to Parliamentary News. I'm Joshua Ogujide. Thanks for joining us. We begin the news as the Senate resolves to invite heads of security and intelligence agencies for a closed-door meeting as it seeks briefing on alleged funding of Boko Haram by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID. The resolution was sequel to a motion from Senator Aliun Dume and 8 other senators from Borno, Yobe, Bauchi and Ogun State. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has details.
The allegation was tied to the alarm raised by the defense headquarters that Boko Haram insurgents were being trained by some international organizations. Lawmakers were circumspect in their contributions during debate on the matter, owing to the fact that it touched on security and diplomacy. But reference was made to a viral video of a United States congressman who, while at the inaugural hearing of the Department of Government Efficiency, alleged that USAID has been funding terrorist organizations across the world.
Over the years, the modus operandi of Boko Haram in Nigeria has been a source of great concern, as their source of funding and operations have been shrouded in mystery.
Numerous attempts to investigate on the funding of these terrorists and bandits did not yield the much desired result.
The effort of our security agencies that stopped them, they will have occupied the entire country. We saw hell.
It is important in a plenary like this. It is almost impossible to do justice to the issues raised on this motion.
The Senate should immediately invite the National Security Advisor, the Director General of the Nigerian Intelligence Agency, the Director General of the DSS, the Director General of the DIA, to brief the Senate in a closed session on the veracity or otherwise of these very serious allegations.
The briefing will hold soon on a convenient date. Bill to establish special agro-economic zones was among 5 that passed first reading. Senate has honored the late Pa Edwin Clark, who died this week Monday in response to a motion from Senator Thomas Onuwapo during plenary.
He was an amazing man who contributed immensely to his immediate community, his joint nations, and the country in general.
Meanwhile, President of the Senate received in audience a delegation of the PANDEF, where the call to immortalize the late elder statesman resonated.
And he just said, I love Nigeria, I love Nigeria, I'm a Nigerian, I'm a Nigerian. He said I'm a Nigerian twice, I love Nigeria twice. And the next thing, he stopped talking. We rushed, the nurse rushed at him, and he did not speak again. We took him to the hospital, and after some hours, the doctor said he had gone.
In another development, the Benue State Caucus at the National Assembly has asked the State Assembly to rescind decisions on the removal of the Benue State Chief Judge and suspension of some state lawmakers, describing the actions as unconstitutional.
That some section of the Benue State House of Assembly, numbering about 17 of the 31 members sitting, purportedly resolved to remove the State Chief Judge in flagrant violation of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
The caucus has resolved to petition the National Judicial Council and the National Assembly for intervention. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
In our development, the House of Representatives has mandated an ad hoc committee to get to the bottom of reported violence in local government areas secretariat in Osun State this week, which led to some deaths. At plenary, the House also asked the Inspector General of Police to intervene and nip the crisis in the bud. National Assembly correspondent Mita Ikwe reports.
Adopting a motion of urgent national importance by 9 lawmakers, the House is concerned that reports of Violence in Osun State over conflicting interpretation of court judgment on local government officials leave much to be desired. Lawmakers emphasized that security agencies should restore normalcy before things get out of hand.
The present situation in Osun State may snowball into a free-for-all unless urgent actions are taken by relevant authorities. The preventable violence which happened in Osun State has led to the death of 6 persons, whilst scores of others have suffered severe injuries and presently receiving treatment in various hospitals.
On the need to investigate the crisis in Osun State, Honorable Idris Ahmed Wase, who serve as the chairman of the committee, they have 1 week to report back to the House.
Frequent road accidents along some highways in the country were highlighted in another motion with calls for preventive measures.
Within 2025 alone, over 10 accidents have occurred on Lokoja and Atako-Filili Expressway. All the federal government, through the Federal Ministry of Works, to expedite an expansion of the road.
The slow pace of the construction of the Bida-Suleja Road, in spite of an alternative funding source through the Road Infrastructure Tax Credit Scheme, has contributed hugely to the indiscriminate parking of tankers along major roads on the route, thereby worsening traffic congestion and increasing the risk of accident.
Other resolutions sought additional mandate secretaries for the FCT administration, as well as inclusion of Ndokwa Ukwani Federal Constituency in the Presidential Amnesty Programme.
Concerned at the exclusion of Ndokwa Ukwani Federal Constituency from the Amnesty Programme is causing growing frustration among local population. To urge the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory to appoint 6 additional secretaries to enhance good governance, effective service delivery within the Federal Capital Territory.
A bill to repeal and reenact the National Assembly Service Act 2025 scaled second reading. The House observed a minute silence in honor of late elder statesman Edwin Clark, extolling his selfless services to the Nigerian nation and the development of the Niger Delta region. From the National Assembly, Mitaire Ikben, NTA News.
Meanwhile, a special session was held by the House of Representatives Committee on University Education weeks after budget defense, as it summoned 3 vice-chancellors following their non-appearance to defend their budget proposals for 2025. The meeting was called by the instance of Speaker Tajudi Abbas. National Assembly correspondent Mohammed Rabi Ali reports that after several hours of interface, the meeting was adjourned for another 2 weeks.
2 out of the 3 vice-chancellors summoned for the meeting appeared in company of the Executive Secretary, National Universities Commission, who requested the committee to excuse the University of Lagos. It appears the 2 vice-chancellors of Federal University Gusau and that of Army Biu, according to the chairman Fulata, were also not engaged during the 2024 oversight carried out by the committee.
What are your reasons for avoiding the committee for nearly 2 years?
I was not avoiding you, but due to the circumstances we happen to find ourselves in our situation, in our own environment, it becomes very, very difficult for us to operate. Even for the university to exist each and every day. As I'm here, even today, if you hear the security issues that we're having, sir, is alarming.
The 2 vice-chancellors, however, presented 2025 budget proposals, after which members of the committee scrutinized their submissions.
These figures for this section is an envelope budgeting. It did not emanate from us. So this is the figure we got from the Federal Ministry of Education and the Federal Ministry of Finance. Of course, if I have my way, naturally, I will need to have more money, especially for overhead, given that the 468 will not pay for electricity, water, municipal services, and other services that we run for the year.
This document before us is your document. We need to, we need to have a copy of the one that the Mr. President presented, which is the envelope, so that we can also compare to see whether there is any typographical error in the document presented before us there.
You didn't tell us how you utilized the capital of previous year. You didn't say, tell us how you utilized the overhead of last year. And yes, you are telling us that the 1.2 billion is too small for you. The way it works, you have to convince the parliament through argument.
Members queried the proposals brought forward by the Vice Chancellors and asked them to report back in 2 weeks with a detailed 2025 budget appropriation of their respective institutions. From the National Assembly, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Reports just reaching us indicate that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the appointment of Dr. Saviour Nyekere as chairman of the National Assembly Service Commission for a 5-year renewable term. Until his appointment, Nyekere, an environmental specialist, was the deputy chief of staff to the Senate President. President Tinubu also approved the appointment of 2 commissioner members from each of the 6 geopolitical zones. The 12 members are from the Northwest: Suleiman Ottoman Nkuyi, Honorable Yusuf A. Yusuf Tabuka; Northeast, Aminu Ibrahim Male, Alhaji Lawal Maina Mahmoud; North Central, Mark Teso, Saliu Umar Agbola Balogun; and Southwest, Honorable Taiwo Olukemi Oluga and Honorable Afiz Ipesa Balogun; and Southeast, Honorable Dr. Nana Uzokalu Festus Ifesinachi Odi; South, Patrick A. Giwa and Mrs. Mary Ekpeyong. In the meantime, the National Institute for Legislative and Democratic Studies has pledged to ensure operational efficiency for its staff through continuous skills upgrade. The Director General, Professor Abubakar Suleiman, made the pledge at the opening of a 2-day leadership capacity building workshop for level 15 and 16 officers of the Institute. Mohamed Rabu Alige reports.
Capacity building for staff of any organization is imperative, considering the strategic positioning and role the categories of staff play at different levels in their various units and departments. The DG Neil said the workshop was organized to enhance skills and competencies in carrying out their responsibilities at NILS as managerial staff.
We should count ourselves lucky to be part of this managerial cadre, with the hope that by the time we are done with the 2-day workshop, must have had a lot to learn on leadership, acquisitions, expectations of leaders, and how to manage an organization. It is to this end, therefore, that our resource person and consultant will engage you in various topics that will enhance your administrative skills for effective service delivery.
These 5 key areas are not just theoretical concepts. They are actionable strategies to elevate participants' impact as senior leaders. The participants should note that this workshop is a platform to reflect, re-strategize, and reconnect with peers. Therefore, engage openly, challenge assumptions, and share your wealth of experience. Leadership, after all, thrives on collective wisdom.
The training focuses on building professionalism, leadership and management skills in the public service, public sector ethics, governance and accountability. Others are strategic thinking, planning and policy execution, among others. In Abuja, Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
The recent rejection to accept the Federal University of Education Luman Adamawa Establishment Bill 2024 by President Bola Tinubu has opened new vistas to the place of due diligence in overseeing parliamentary affairs, especially as it relates to working hand in hand of arms of government in the quest to deliver dividends of democracy to the masses. In this report, our National Assembly correspondent explains bill drafting procedure and implications of clerical gaps in federal legislation. The report.
When a bill is passed by the National Assembly and same is presented to the Presidency for assent, the President has 2 options: having passed the requirement the President can sign the bill into law, or in the alternative, withhold his assent, either by stating reasons for such or by keeping mute. In the instance of the letter read out by Deputy Speaker Benjamin Kalu on February 4, 2025 during plenary, President Bola Tinubu expressed worries over Section 22 of the bill, which granted the Adamawa State Governor authority over the disposal of land belonging to the Fido University, amongst other concerns.
If he withhold his assent, I did not say anything, that is implied veto. In that situation, you don't need to explain anything to the National Assembly. We just keep quiet. After 30 days, the National Assembly know what to do with it. But if a president withhold his assent to the bill and state his reason, that is express veto. In other words, the president must have discovered one issue or the other, like in the instance bill you are talking about. The president made reference in his letter to the Speaker of the House of Rep, made reference to Section 22 of that bill. He made reference to paragraph 13 and 15, and he mentioned some errors, spelling errors.
When you engage somebody to enact a legislation and you are paying him billions of naira for that purpose, then you should be diligent enough to get it correct, all right, in terms of all the legal implications, in terms of all the provisions, in terms of the draft, in terms of the consultation and all of that.
Experts also speak on the legal implications of such flaws on the federal legislative duties.
The implication is that had it been the president was not careful and he assented to that bill, it could have caused a lot of legal issues. Because that section in particular, for instance, could have offended Section 49. Are you getting me? It will offend Section 49, which automatically renders that section useless, void.
If those things are not ratified and sign it that way, it will give another meaning to the bill. So the ideal thing at that point is the National Assembly have one option, pick up the bill, look at the issues. If those things raised by the president are true, then they should do the needful. Put the house in order, clear up the errors from the bill. But if those things haven't gone through it, if they feel that it's not true, they can exercise the Section 58 sub 5 to override the veto of Mr. President. But to me, Mr. President with his team of legal advisors haven't gone through the bill and they specifically pointed out things out. Error can happen. So it is for them now to go back home, look at the bill, and do the needful.
They argue that such clerical gap should not generate a blame game, but rather, interest of the masses should be of priority.
We'll now take a break. When we return, more stories from the state assemblies. Stay with us.
Are you looking for a short channel to make your business, goods and services go viral? Look no further, as NTA Parliament is your short channel. Take advantage of our wider reach and advertise your products and services on NTA Parliament DSTV channel 370, GoTV channel 126, StarTimes channel 306, and Free TV channel 706. For more inquiries, contact the Marketing Department, NTA Parliament, NTA Headquarters Area 11 Garki Abuja, or call these numbers 080-383-40464 or 080-770-78055. NTA Parliament, strengthening Nigeria's democracy.
Meanwhile, the Benue State House of Assembly has recommended the removal of the Chief Justice of the State, Justice Maurice Ipembesi. The recommendation came as a result of the correspondence sent to the House of Assembly by Governor Insit earlier, calling on them to recommend his removal. Assembly correspondent Grace Ichekwa reports.
According to the correspondence sent to the House by Governor earlier, it is alleged that the Chief Judge of Benue State, Justice Maurice Ipembesi, was involved in misappropriation of funds and some unethical practices that are against the ethics of the judiciary.
To direct the forwarding of a complaint to the National Judicial Commission so as to carry out an honest, independent, hitch-free, transparent and diligent investigation into this allegations, especially as they relate to the abuse of office of the judicial officer demonstrated by his confrontational disregard to the laws enacted by the Benue State Legislature and financial infractions against him pending the recommendation of the National Judicial Commission.
It is very wrong for the man who heads the judiciary in Benue State to, as a matter of anything at all, to tamper with the law being passed by this state assembly and then assented to by the state governor.
I second the motion that this petition should be investigated before the House suspend or pass a vote of no confidence on the Chief Judge. I so second.
Speaker Benue State House of Assembly, Mr. Ondona Dajo, thereafter called for voting in the House, where 23 out of 31 members voted for the recommendation for the removal of Justice Maurice Ikpambese as Chief Judge of Benue State.
Thank you, Mr.
By the 23 members who raised their hand, and the next person in line should be sworn in immediately.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Bar Association NBA Makurdi branch has expressed worry over recent happenings surrounding the purported removal of the Chief Judge of Benue State. They say though the Chief Judge is not above the law, but due process must be followed.
The Chief Judge can only be removed on the recommendation of the National Judicial Council, which is responsible for the discipline of judges. This procedure was never followed in the instant case, and same cannot stand. See Elelu Habib against AGF. Citation supplied. Since the above very basic requirements of the Constitution were not followed, and since the NBA seeks to promote the rule of law, we find it deeply troubling and unable to accept this absurdity. We wish to place on record that the NBA does not support fraud or any misconduct by any public officer.
In Makurdi, Grace Ichepa, NTA News.
Following the lingering communal clashes in Iko SI community, Akampa, local government area, the Cross River State House of Assembly is calling on the executive arm of government to issue a suspension order on logging activities in the community forest until the crisis is resolved. The resolution was reached when the motion for government intervention in the community was raised by member representing Akampa, one state constituencies, Okon, Oguna, at the State Assembly during plenary. Uduak Etim completes the report.
The lingering crisis in Ikoesai community, Akampa local government area, which resulted in massive destruction of property and loss of lives, was brought before the Cross River State House of Assembly through a motion calling on the state government to intervene in the communal clashes by member representing Akampa 1 state constituency, Okonowuna, as the House resolved that the state government reinforces security in the area, declares states of emergency in the community, and further imposes a curfew while issuing a suspension order on logging activities in the community forest until the crisis is resolved.
Mr. Speaker, the aforementioned crisis escalated when the Agri faction conspired to dethrone the village head of Ikoesai community. The governor of Cross River State should constitute an administrative panel of inquiry to investigate the immediate and remote causes.
Co-sponsors of the motion condemned the crisis and suggested that the chairman of Akampa Local Government Council, Estate Security and other relevant authorities be invited to appear before the House.
Mr. Speaker, the crisis in the Ikoesai, crisis that has to do with the forest. You know, Ikoesai is inside the forest, very far. Ikoesai is a community that does not have very good access. So the only thing that they have is a forest.
So this Estate Security, who we are even told that has sent soldiers already to that place, must reinforce the team.
Speaker of the 10th Assembly, Elvet Ayambem, had this to say.
I strongly believe that the state government too has to do something as a proactive step to ensuring that every clan head or village head must be gazetted. And so it reserves the sole responsibility of the House whether or not to remove or to dethrone such a clan head.
The House, however, resolved that the state government should ensure that all non-state actors involved in the crisis are arrested, investigated and tried in accordance with the law, as well as constitute an administrative panel of inquiry to find lasting solution and peaceful coexistence among the people. In Calabar, Uduak Etten, NTA News.
This is where we conclude parliamentary news. Remember, you can still watch these news and other programs on our social media handles showing on your screen. Thank you for watching. On behalf of the production crew, I'm Joshua Okoje.